Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of PriMath Zoom. Today, we will begin by practicing some grade 6 ability test items. It's lovely to have you here live in the chat. Thank you for your patience. Many of you have said hello already, so thank you so much. And the persons who are just joining, hello to you too. Just a reminder to have your notebook and pencil with you because we're going to be practicing questions live in the chat. Another thing I want you to do is to go ahead and share this to your friends so that they can also join. And if you're new here, go right ahead and hit that subscribe button so you know when we come live or when I post a new video each time. We'll start in just 30 seconds as you get yourself prepared. While we wait, please go ahead and tell me which school you're joining from. Welcome, Runaway Bay. Garlogie Primary, Beulah. Anchovy, Portsmouth, Green Island. Welcome. Welcome, Craighead, Claremont Primary. St. John's Primary. Welcome. Ashley Primary and Infant, Nazareth Primary. Ferris Primary, Denby. Mount Fletcher, welcome. St. Aloysius. Comfort Hall Primary. Bull Bay, Gibraltar, Portsmouth, Troy Primary, Negril Primary, welcome. Kensington, welcome. Welcome, Retreat Primary. Now that we're here, and I know where we're signing in from, Little Bay Primary, Exchange Primary, welcome. We are going to do a series, maybe about 3 rapid answer questions just to get our brain juices flowing. What is half of 80? What is half of 80? Let me see your answers in the chat. I see 40 coming in. Good job, guys. Good job. What is 120 plus 12? What is 120 plus 12? Okay, I see someone says 5. Okay, we'll do 5. Good job. Drip. 132. Dean Basin. Good job. Good job. Yes, the answer is 132. What is 6 times 7? What is 6 times 7? Good job, Drip. 42, first one again. Welcome, Gabriel. 42, good job. 6 times 7 is 42. All right, thank you. What is 200 take away 14? What is 200 take away 14? $200 take away 14. Good job, Gabriel. I see you put 186. You're correct. And I see many other 186 are coming in. Good job. You all are correct. What is 195 divided by 5? What is 195 divided by 5? All right, I see Gabriel first, saying 39. Good job. You are correct. Now, we will go right into our first question. So be ready. Good job. Select the number that comes next in the sequence of numbers. Select the number that comes next in the sequence of numbers below. We have 6, 12, 20, 26, 34, 40. Tell me your response and why. How did you get that? Which number comes next and why? How did you figure it out? Rajid is saying A because you add 6 each time. Check on that, Rajid. Double check your answer. Karine says 48 because you add 6, then 8. KK said add 6 each time. Harold said 46 because they add 6 each time. Nashel says B because it is adding 6, then 8 each time. Aldion is saying add 6 each time. Orlando is saying 46 because it's going up by 6. All right, I'm seeing many of these explanations here. Good explanations. But let us double check to see if you are correct or if you need to revisit your answer. Persons are saying we're adding 6 each time. Let's see. 6 plus 6 gives us 12. We can see that. We move from 12 to 20. 12 plus 6, would that give us 20? Would 12 plus 6 give us 20? Can we add 6 again to get 20? No, we can't. What do we need to add this time? So we have 6 plus 6 gives us 12. What do we need to add this time to get to 20? What do we need to add this time to get to 20? We need to add 8. Good job. Now we're moving from 20 to 6. What do we need to add this time if we're moving from 20 to 6? Now we add 6. Thank you. We're moving from 26 to 34. What do we need to do this time? From 26 to 34, we need to do what? We need to add 8. Thank you. From 34 to 40, what do we need to do this time? From 34 to 40, what do we need to do this time? We're to add 6. If you notice the pattern so far, you're adding 6, then you add 8, then you add 6, then 8, then 6. So what do we need to add now to get to our next number? All right, some people are saying to add 8. Very good, because you're seeing the pattern. And when you add 8 to 40, what do we get? When we add 8 to 40, what do we get? We get 48. Thank you. So the next number in the sequence below would be 48. Good job. Let's move on to our next question. The numbers in the diagram below follow the same rule. Not the same rule as the previous question, but each of these diagrams, they follow the same rule. Use the first 3 diagrams to help you to find the missing number in the 4th diagram. So diagram 1, diagram 2, diagram 3, we'll use those to find the missing number in diagram 4. Some of these numbers aren't quite clear. I'll just clear them up. This is number 8. Okay, now let's take a look at what our answer is. I'm seeing answers in the chat, but I'm not seeing an explanation. You know, I want an explanation. Okay, Goku says 12 times 11 equals 132. How did you come up with that, Drip? Because that sounds good to me. I mean, that's the correct answer. But how did you come up with that? Karine says 12 because you multiply the left number by the top number. Okay, but how did you figure these things out? Someone says multiply. Phyllis says divided 11 into 132 and you get 12. Harold says because you multiply 12 by 11, you get 132. But how did you come up? Why are we multiplying? Why are we multiplying by that number? Why are we multiplying by 12? Who told you to multiply by 12? How did you figure this out? Naturally saying C 12 because this is because you divide the right number by the left number. Many of you are saying 12, but where did you get that number from? Okay, Victor says because you used the first example. Okay, so when you use the first example, Victor, what happened? What did you notice? Karine says you can divide the left number by the right number and you get the top number. Okay. Drip says the other patterns shows that you multiply the top number by the number on the left to get the number on the right. Now, this is a kind of explanation I want because there must be something that you used to come up with your answer and how you used it. So many of you are correct with your response, but let's go through this. So here in the first diagram, diagram number 1, we'll call that diagram number 1. We notice that, and I'm using your example, we notice that if we divide this number on your right by the number on your left, you will get the number at the top. So 10 divided by 5 gives you 2. So we see that in the first pattern. And your explanations are lovely for this. Rajan is giving a beautiful explanation in the chat as well. Therefore, if you multiply 5 times 2, you will also get this number on the right. Let's look at our second diagram. If we divide 28 by 7, so we're at diagram number 2. If we divide 28 by 7, we'll get 4. All right, that checks out. That is correct. Therefore, if we multiply 7 by 4, we'll get back 28. For our third diagram, based on the rule and based on what you have observed, you said that if we divide 72, the number on the right, by the number on the left by 9, we will get a quotient of 8. at the top. All right, good so far. I'm seeing the pattern is checking out so far. Awesome. Also, if we do multiply the 9 by the 8, we will get back our 72. So now we're at this fourth diagram. You say if we divide the number on the right, 132, by the number on the left, 11, we will get the top number. So 132 divided by 11 is equal to what? Karine says the answer is 12. Ashley is saying 12. Karine is saying 12. All right, good job. We will get 12. And if we double check our answer, 12 times 11, will we get back 132? If we multiply this 12 that we got at the top by the 11 on the left, will we get this number on the right, 132? Yes, yes, Karine, Marley, yes, we will. So the way you used the pattern was excellent. The correct answer is 12. Good job, guys. Taisha, Karine, Just a Bless. Very nice. Elora, Rain. Perfect. Good job, Janoy. All right, let's move on to our next question. Our next question says, a pattern is shown below. A pattern is shown below. We're to look at the first two rows in the pattern to help you work out the missing number in the third row. So we have our responses here. A, 14/5, B, 2, C, 62/7, D, 14. Now let's look at the diagram here and see what these numbers are mapped onto on the right. Now, when you give me your answer, I want an explanation. I'm seeing many people saying 2, but I may not be as smart as you are, because when I started to work this thing out, I did not know 2 just like that. I had to work something out first. So I want to see your workout as well. Okay. All right. I'm seeing Macaulay saying 7 times 2 equals 14, and 7 is equal to 1. Xavier says because they divide by 7 each time. Karine saying from that we can see that 7 is a denominator. 7 into 7 goes 1, and 7 into 14 goes 2. I love this explanation, Karine. This one is very good. Very good critical thinking. Harold saying, Miss, if 7 is equal to 1 whole, and 7 plus 7 is 14, then it's 2 wholes. This is very good also, Harold. Very good. Rajan is saying the same thing. Very good. So is Leonie. All right. These are very good explanations. Samuel is saying the same thing. Dominique is saying 6, says 6/7, and 7 equals 1 whole. Then you add 2 times 7 2 times, which you will get 14. All right. These are good explanations. Yes. As you realize here, you'd realize that all of these numbers on the right-hand side are equal parts of 7. So here it's saying, so we're counting by sevenths each time, basically. So here for 6, we have 6 out of the 7 parts. We have 6 out of the 7 parts. For 7, we will have 7 out of the 7 parts, which would be equal to, we would have 7 out of the 7 parts, which is equal to 1. You understand that the number on the left represents the numerator, and whatever we have on the right, it would be that numerator out over 7 because we're talking about sevenths. Yes, Janoy, 7 is the denominator. So here we have 14. That would have been the numerator. And since it's everything is out of 7, or not really out of 7, but in sevenths, we have 14 sevenths. And 14 sevenths means 2 groups of 7, because in 14 we can get 7 2 times. So that will be equal to 2. So many of you said the answer is B, 2. You are correct. Good job. Great critical thinking skills. Let's move on to our next question. Andrew represented the shapes on a chart below. Here he has a circle, 2 triangles, a square or rectangle, a circle, 3 more rectangles, a triangle, another rectangle. And the question is asking us, which of these shapes matches the chart, or matches the shapes? Which of these charts matches these set of shapes here? Let's take a look at that. Which of them? Now, we can start by thinking about how many circles we have. So here we have 1, 2 circles. We have 2 of them. For triangles, we have 1, 2, 3 triangles. For the rectangles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rectangles. So we need to now find a chart that shows this. Okay, so here we have for chart 1, the circle, and we're going up by 2, as you can notice each time. So any number in between, for example, between 0 and 2 would be 1, between 2 and 4 would be 3, between 4 and 6 would be 5. That's something that you'll figure out once you look at the axes and how much they're going up by. So we know that we should have 2 circles, but here you can see circle is 5. So that means this one could not work. Let's look at 2. We're looking at circles first, and it says we should have 2 circles. That means it would have stopped here, and it didn't. So this one is wrong. If we go to 3, here we have the circle. That looks like 3 circles. This is also wrong. If we go to 4, we see the circle here. 2, that looks good so far. The triangles, we should have 3 triangles. Looks like it matches as well. And the rectangles, all right, looks like it matches. So as it appears here, it appears that chart 4 is correct. And I'm seeing many responses here. Zoria says 4 because it represents the correct amount of shapes in the box above. And you're right. Very good. Chalicia saying the same thing. All right. Very good. Rosie. All right. Okay. Alison has an explanation here as well. Very good. So does Janoy. Very good. Very good, guys. So yes, the correct answer is 4. 4 is the one that matches the box at the top correctly. Let's move on to our next question. Our next question says, a survey was done and 40 grade 6 students were asked about their favorite sport. The following information was gathered. No more than 10 students chose volleyball. More students chose football as their favorite sport than the number of students who chose volleyball. More students chose track and field as their favorite sport than football and volleyball together. So let's take a look at this chart. So we still have the question next to us so we can see what's happening. The question that we're solving is, which chart best represents the survey? So let's look at this. The first clue tells us, in fact, I'll give you just a moment, by the way. I'll give you just a moment to check these out, and then we will start discussing our answer. So you look at the pie chart at 1, at 2, at 3, at 4, and see which one matches the information here that we have. All right. And how do you know? You can go ahead and you can tell me, how do you know? You chose an answer, but how do you know? Karine says track and field must have the most. Then football and volleyball, which is 3. Okay, so that's your explanation. Let me hear from other persons. Zumbia says volleyball is the smallest. Track and field is the biggest. Okay. All right. Zoria says track and field. Where is it? I think I've lost that response. Rajan says, because 3 state the track and field has the most, football the second, and volleyball the least. All right. I'm seeing Harold, because football is more than volleyball and track and field is the largest. Rain is saying because the volleyball is less than all of them, and football is more than volleyball. Track and field is more than all of them. All right. Monisi is saying because there's a lot of track and field and football has more than volleyball. Okay. All right. KK giving a response as well. Good job. Sanjay, Dominique. Awesome. Now let's go into the explanation here. No more than 10 students chose volleyball. Now, if this chart, if this pictograph is showing 40 students, that means 10 students would represent a quarter. Would you agree? 10 out of 40, yeah, would represent a quarter. 1/4. All right. So volleyball should have no more than a quarter of the pictograph. Now let's look here. The first chart. Volleyball takes up a whole half. This definitely cannot be the answer, because first, volleyball should not have such a large spot. Let's look at 2. 2 says, it says that less than quarter, well, no more than quarter. So 2 has no more than quarter. As you can see, the volleyball here, it is less than a quarter. So that could work. Let's see if there's any other one that could work. Let's look at 3. 3 is also less than a quarter, because quarter would be about here. All right. So it's either answer 2 or answer 3. But if we go to 4, all right, just a bless, very nice explanation there. If we go to 4, we see volleyball a little bit more than a quarter. So that one will not work either. We know that 4 will not work. Now the next clue here says more students chose football as their favorite sport than the number of students who chose volleyball. So the two answers that we think may work, we have to now go and check to see which one has more football than volleyball. So we look at 2. 2 has more football than the volleyball. That could work, right? And 3 also has more football than volleyball. That could work too. We don't know yet. So let's now check the third clue, because these 2 could still work. Because it says there are more football than volleyball, and so these 2 could still work. Let's look at the third clue, which says more students chose track and field as their favorite sport than football and volleyball together. So when you put football and volleyball together, track and field should be more than them. Now let's look at 2. Football and volleyball, look at the space for them here. You'd notice that track and field is even less than football. So number 2 definitely will not work. But let's check out 3. Track and field, which is all this space here, is greater than volleyball and football together. This is volleyball and football. And track and field is greater than that. So the chart that best represents the survey would be chart 3. Good job. Good job. All right. Awesome. And you guys have some great explanations. I enjoyed reading them. Very nice. Let's go to our next question. For those who are just joining, welcome. I know you'd have missed some. You can always watch this video again back from the beginning. It will be present on my channel even long after this day. Okay, let's go to this question. If this chart represents this, then this chart will represent which one? And why do you say so? I want to see an explanation as to why. When you choose your answer for this one, why? I see many people saying C, some saying B. Persons are saying C, some are saying B. Karine is saying C because 2 means a quarter. Not quite. 2 doesn't mean a quarter. 2 out of what means a quarter? So we have to be specific when we're responding. All right. Zoria says C because 2 boxes represent 1/4. Okay. Could work with that. Nice. Danique says C, the lines would match up. Kaja says, where are the responses? C because C can fill out the cutout part. Rain says because more shaded, the bigger the circle. Sanjay Sangagale says because C is because it is out of 8, so 2 8s is a quarter. Leonie says if you put the circle on the left, you get a hole. Okay. Gabriel says C because by looking at it, you see that part can fit, and it's 6 out of 8 and 2 out of 8, which would make a hole. All right. Dominique says because there are 8 overall, and so 4 would mean a half. So therefore, a half of the half would be 2. Okay, so the answer is C. All right. Zumbia says because 2 boxes represent 1/4. All right. Jassa Bless says because the first one is more than the other. Sanga Gale says because 2 out of the 8 is a quarter. Garfield says the same thing. Christine Gray says 6 8 is equal to 3/4, and 2 8s is equal to a quarter. All right. Juanicia, because it's kind of like a ratio. For every 2 out of 8, it represents a quarter. So 6 out of 8 would be 3/4. Wow. I love the way you are relating your learning to even another concept that helps you to understand this better. Very good. Very good, guys. Very good. I'm enjoying these explanations. All right. Okay. Thank you. Now let's work on that. Let's work that out. And let's see. So I remember someone saying this first diagram shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 eighths shaded. And 6 eighths represents, this could be a whole, represents 3/4 because we had these 3 parts here. 6 eighths represents 3/4. And we could always reduce this as well. 6 eighths, like this. We can say 6 divided by 2 and 8 divided by 2 to get its simplest form. 6 divided by 2 would give us 3. 8 divided by 2 would give us 4. So you would see that these are 3/4. Both of them represent 3/4. Sparkles is saying, since 2 squares is much smaller fraction of the grid than 8, the corresponding shape must be the smallest portion of the circle shown. Therefore, the correct answer is C. Okay. In this shape here, we have 8 parts. And out of the 8 parts, we have 6 shaded. Let's reduce this to 6. We have 2 shaded. Hold on, let me correct that. Out of these 6 parts, we have 8 parts, we have 2 shaded. So if we reduce 2 eighths, divide each part by 2 to make it in its simplest form, we would have 2 divided by 2, 1. 8 divided by 2, 4. We would have a quarter. So this shape here represents a quarter. Let's look in the answers. This is not a quarter, this is half. This is not a quarter, this is less than a quarter. So this is also incorrect. This is a quarter. And as you can see, this is way more than a quarter, so that is also incorrect. So if your answer was C for those reasons, good job. And your explanations in the chat were also great. And it explained clearly how you understood the problem and how to solve it. Good job, guys. All right. A box of 8 light bulbs fell. Some of the light bulbs are broken. Which of the following numbers could not be the number of unbroken light bulbs? Could not be. Important. Which of the following numbers could not be the number of broken light bulbs and why? Thank you, Alonso. People are saying 2, people are saying 7, some are saying 14. Let me hear what Karine says here. Karine says 14 because there are 12 and 14 is greater than 12. Okay, nice. Kenisha says 14 because 14 is more than 12. Gabriel says 14 because if some are broken, it would have to be less than 12. So it could not be 14. Thank you, Gabriel. Victor says because it passed number 12. Okay. Dominique says because it says it's only 12 light bulbs and 14 exceeds 12. All right. Just a bless. Christine also saying the same thing. 14 because it's more than 12. Sandra Gale also saying that. Charlene, very good. Nice. Zumbia says they're originally 12, not 14. All right, guys. Your explanations are clear. I love them actually. You are thinking critically. If there are 12 light bulbs in the box and it fell, how is it that 14 will break when we didn't have 14 to begin with? So yes, you guys are correct. Because of course, if some fell, it could have been 2. If some fell, it could have been 7. If some fell, it could have been 10, because we can get these numbers out of 12. But we cannot get 14 out of 12 light bulbs. All right. So if your answer is 14, good job. Good job. You guys are almost there. All right. Before we move on to the next question, we're about halfway in. I want to ask you, for me, I love to play Candy Crush. What game do you like to play? I'll play Candy Crush all day. What game could you play all day? What's your favorite game? Free Fire, Roblox. All right. Fortnite, Free Fire. Many people like to play Free Fire. I may check that out. Roblox, Geometry Dash. Nice. Roblox and Free Fire. Block Blast, Sudoku, Tokoloka, okay. Asphalt, car parking, Block Blast, okay. DMC, PUBG, I don't know what DMC is. Puzzle Master 3, CODM, I don't know what that. Oh, Call of Duty, okay. Car parking, math games. All right. Some more Geometry Dash, eFootball, Sims 4, Fashion Show. Wow, Karine. Among Us. All right. Okay, Royal Kingdom, Among Us again. Math games, Summertime Saga. Oh gosh, Bus Simulator. You know what? I think I have to go back to this video because I need to see all these games, Brawl Stars. I may want to check out some. Many people are playing Free Fire and Roblox. I may want to check those out. Minecraft, Farming Sim. Okay, FIFA, Avatar World. Okay, GTA. All right. When I was a bit younger, I used to play that one, GTA, but I'm not even sure how it's like now. All right. Okay, Duolingo. Okay. All right, guys, VR. All right. OB Park. Okay, Motor Wheelie, 3D. Wow, so many games. I have to check these out after. GTA is Grand Theft Auto. All right, let's go now to our next rivals, to our next question. Bingo. All right, very engaging. Thank you, guys. All right. Our next question is the numbers 1 through 10 are placed in a bag. Paul picks a number from the bag, then performs the operation stated under column A and column B on the number. In column A, the number he picked, he multiplied that by itself and then he added 1. In column B, he doubled the number and then he subtract 1. The question says, from the information given, which statement is correct? A, the number in column A is greater than the number in column B. B, the number in column B is greater than the number in column A. C, the number in column A is equal to the number in column B. Or D, the answer cannot be determined by the information given. So we need to see which one is correct. All right. Which one is correct? And give me an example. Give me an example. So for example, if I chose a random number between 1 and 10 and I did the operation of column A on it, what would you get? And if I use that same number and I doubled it and then subtract 1, what will I get? And then I'll see which of these statements are correct. That's one way to think about it. Gabriel says it's A because I analyze the relationships. All right. Yes, Zumbia, we need to know the number, but if we choose any number from the bag, what if we have 1 through to 10, we have 10 numbers. If we use all 10 and test this out, which one would give us a correct response? Which one of these statements would be correct? Okay. Dominique Stewart says D because you cannot just guess. Are we sure? It told us where to get the numbers. Numbers 1 through to 10. Any of these numbers. Let me see an example. Corinne says the number can be 5. Of course, definitely, because 5 falls between 1 and 10, or it's 1 through to 10. You can find it there. 5 times 5 is 25. So she's doing column A on that number 5. And then you add 1, which would give you 26. And the same number 5, if you double it, double means you add it to itself. You get 10 and you subtract 1, that would be 9. You know, Karine, I want to do your workout on the board here so that persons can see. And I'm going to look for some other examples with different numbers. So Karine is saying she's choosing 5. Based on column A, it says you multiply the number by itself. So 5 times 5. And then you add 1. Order of operations we multiply first. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 1, 26. The same number 5, let's try it here. We have 5. We double it. That means we add it to itself. Or we can multiply by 2. I'll just add it here. And then I will take away 1. 5 plus 5 is 10. Take away 1 is 9. So if we do column A here, the response is greater than that of column B. Let me see what other persons have done here in the chat. All right, I'm seeing something from Sanga Gale, but it's incomplete because I want to see you do it the same number for both sides in the same message. Okay. All right. Hariel says, okay, 1 times 2 equals 2 plus 1. I'm not really understanding this explanation. All right, so I'm going to check to see if there's another example here. I want to use your example. Remember, the numbers that you think of must be 1 through 10. Cannot be greater. All right. Okay, Rajan is giving us an example. A, because 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1, 5. All right, so he used 2. So column A, he chose 2, says you need to multiply the number by itself, then add 1. So 2 times 2, 4 plus 1, 5. And here in column B, we're using 2 again. We double it, 2 plus 2, and then subtract 1. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. Let's look at these 2 examples. You realize that these examples, it's still giving us the same response, that whatever you do, if you do column A to it, the same number, and then column B, column A will give a greater response. Let me use Monicia's example here. She says 9. We use 9. So Column A says we multiply it by itself, 9 times 9. And then we add 1. 9 is what? 81. Plus 1, 82. In column B, remember we're still using that 9. We're doubling the 9. So 9 plus 9 minus 1. 9 plus 9 is 18. Minus 1 is 17. So these are just 3 of the numbers between. But as you notice here, it remains true each time. Each time when you do column A's operation on the number, you get a greater answer than when you do column B's instruction on it. So people are saying A, the number in column A is greater than the number in column B, and I will agree. Good job, guys. Good job. All right. Okay. If you're still here with me, go ahead, give me a thumbs up in the chat. We'll be moving on to our next question. And if you're just joining, welcome, welcome. I know you're late, but this video will always be available on my channel. You can always go back and watch the parts that you have missed. And you can watch the entire video as well, so you can get a better understanding. More practice is always great. The next question says, the diagram below shows 2 rectangular boxes with a striped ribbon wrapped around each. All right, awesome. Box A, the ribbon is wrapped vertically around the box. Vertically means goes up, down. Box B, it's wrapped horizontally around the box, means across. And the question says, given that both boxes have the same dimensions, which statement is correct? So you'll notice that this dimension is 8 centimeters. This one is 4 centimeters, and this one is 6 centimeters. It's the same for both boxes. So I want to know which statement is correct. Statement A says the ribbon on box A is longer than the ribbon on box B. And I need to see some calculations in the chat, guys, because how else will I be able to prove this? You give me an answer, but how will we prove it? So I need to see some explanations or calculations in the chat. I know that many of you have very good reasonability. I'm looking forward to reading some of these. B says the ribbon on box B is longer than the ribbon on box A. C says the ribbon on both boxes are equal in length. D says the answer cannot be determined by the given information. So let me see what we have here. Because 8 is bigger than 4 centimeter. Sango, that we need more than that. We need more than that. So let me give you just a moment so you can write an explanation in the chat to justify. So in order to explain, if you got the answer, Hariel, and you need to explain, you just need to tell us what you did. That's one way to explain, by telling us how you got the answer. Zoria saying because when you find the volume of both, you get the same measurement. So it's C. Is that so? KK is also saying C, because if you multiply the number on each box, they will be the same answer. Persons are saying B. Reggie is saying C because they're the same numbers. If you guys said C, maybe what I solved before is not correct. But to be honest, we're gonna work it out and we will see. The rope is longest in the box because it's wrapped up. Zumia says she thinks it's B. She think A because it is wrapped vertically and B is wrapped. Okay. Kenisha says 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 20. Not really. Not at all. For the first one, 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4 equals 24. Trezeguet says 8 times 4 equals 32. 32 times 6 equals 192. Box A. 8 times 6 equals 32. 32 times 6 equals 192. So they're the same. Elora says because the box B is bigger than box A. But it told us that the boxes have the same dimensions. Okay, let me see some responses here. Akila says both ribbons wrap around differently, around different sides of the same box. The vertical ribbon box A goes around the shorter side, 6 and 4, while the horizontal ribbon goes around a longer side, 8 and 4. I like that explanation, Akila. Okay. All right. Awesome. Now, before I move on, let me read Monisia's. She says B because she found the perimeter of both boxes. A, 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4 equals 20. B, 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4 equals 24. And we are going to check out what Monisia is saying. Let's go. So first, we're going to start with box A. And we're going to look at the ribbon. Now, here, the first part, remember this ribbon wraps around completely. And this box, it passes over 4 faces. So this one, the length from here to here is what? Let's see. Same as this. Also the same as this. So that means here would be 6 centimeters. Here at the top, we have this length, which is the same as here and the same as here. So that is 6 plus 4. The face opposite this face would be 6 as well. And the face opposite this face, which is at the bottom, would be 4. So 6 plus 4 is 10. Plus 6 is 16. Plus 4 is 20. This is 20 centimeters. Someone mentioned they thought about it as per meter. And you can think about this per meter because it's going around. All right. Now, and it's because it's definitely not volume. Now, let us look at the next box. Here we have the ribbon going horizontally. So here is the same as here. So we have 8 centimeters plus here we have this dimension here. Here, same thing. So 8 plus 4. The face opposite to this one is also 8. And the face opposite to this one is also 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 8 is 20. 20 plus 4 is 24. 24 centimeters. And that is the length of the ribbon going around the boxes. All right. So I hope so far you're following what we're doing here, and you notice that both boxes, the ribbon going around, one horizontal, one vertical, does not give us the same answer. Now, A says the ribbon on box A is longer than the ribbon on box B. It's box A, it's not longer. So A is not correct. B says the ribbon on box B is longer than the ribbon on box A. Box B is 24 centimeters and the box A is 20 centimeters. So B is correct, but let's check C. The ribbon on both boxes are equal in length. No, one is 20 centimeters, one is 24 centimeters, so that's not correct. D says the answer cannot be determined by the information given, but it can because we have the dimensions here and we can use addition to add the different lengths of the parts of the ribbon going around each box. So if your correct answer was B, then good job. All right. Awesome. And if you did not understand this even after the explanation, you can always replay this and you can rewatch and listen to the explanation. Do some more practice until you get this. All right, guys, good job. This diagram shows a parallelogram. What's a parallelogram? This diagram shows a parallelogram PQRS. So what's a parallelogram? Have you heard this word before? What's a parallelogram? Do you know other parallelograms? Go ahead and share that with me in the chat. So if there's anyone who has never heard of parallelogram before, maybe they can understand from your explanation. All right. All right. Someone said, Rain says a rectangle, but it's lean. No, I like that. I like the way you look at it. Good. Gregor says shapes with parallel lines. Someone says a quadrilateral. Well, not, let me see. Okay. Shapes like a rectangle. Okay, Ralisha says a quadrilateral that has opposite sides parallel. That's very specific. I like that. All right. So yes, a parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has parallel sides. That, sides that run in the same direction. Like this one, someone says it's a rectangle, but it's lean. That's nice. All right. Now, the question says, which of the following represents the greatest length? PQ plus PS represents the greatest length. PQ plus SR, PQ plus SR, QR plus PS, QR plus PS, or QS plus SR, QS plus SR. Which one represents the greatest length? All right. People are saying C. Why? What do we think? Akila says, since the diagonal is longer than any side, adding it to a side will give a greater total than just adding sides together. So she thinks it's QS plus SR. Now, I was hoping that someone would give a response like this because I wanted to, piggyback from this response. Now, yes, QS, the diagonal, is the longest length here. Okay, it is. But then QS was added to SR, which is a very short length. See that? So let's consider that to see if that will make a difference here. Maybe if QS was added to one of these other longer lengths, maybe. All right. Let me see here. C, because they're the longest sides of the shape. That's what Sangha Gale says. All right. Okay. So I'm seeing persons also saying C. So let me just go ahead and check out C. C says QR plus PS. And you realize that these are two very long sides. And if you are supposed to put these together, it would definitely, even though not drawn to scale, you'd notice though that it would give a longer length. All right, so the correct answer is C. Even though QS, the diagonal, is the longest side, adding it to this shorter side doesn't give a larger total, a bigger total. All right, so if you said C, good job. The next question says, K estimated the number of people in a stadium to be 32,000. Which of the following numbers could not be the actual number of people in the stadium? You just go right ahead and put a circle around not, because that will help you to choose the answer that you need. It could not be the actual number of people. Put the answer in the chat. Ralisa says 32,976. She says D. Let me see what other people are saying. I'm seeing D's coming in, but sometimes people are joining late, so they're also saying D for a previous question. So if you can type the answer in the chat, that would be best. All right. Ariel says 33,000. But that's not there. All right. So I'm seeing Gabriel saying Miss D because that's way too much and it's far from the estimated number. Okay. I like that. Okay. Let me see another explanation. Karine says when you round 32,976, you get 33,000. Okay. Okay, all right. Let me see if there's any other response here. Someone says D. Aldion says D because it's far from 32,000. But I like the discussion about rounding. So Amoya says as well, because when you round 32,976 to the nearest thousand, it gives you 33,000. Okay. Aquila is also saying the same thing. Lovely explanation here, Aquila. All right. So yes, we consider this as rounding. We have 32,000. And if it is that we're looking at a number that could be an estimate, we would need to round. So the number that could not be the actual number has to be the one that is more than 32,500. Because when we're rounding, we know that numbers in that place value less than 5 means the number remains the same, but if it's 5 or more, then we round up. All right. Okay, here I'm seeing another explanation from Alonso. All right. Get me after. Okay. All right, very good. All right. Okay. So I've read many of your explanations and they are great. I'm seeing another one coming in here from Monicia. Awesome work. Good job. Reasoning ability is always very good, and your critical thinking skills are top notch. I can already see that. The next question says, Dennis is numbering the pages of his book. Page 1 is a right-hand page. Page 2 is a left-hand page, and faces page 3, a right-hand page. Which two pages will face each other? So Dennis is numbering the book, the pages of his book. Page 1 is on the right side. Page 2 is on the left side, but page 2 faces page 3, which is on the right side. From your responses, which two pages will face each other? Page 11 and 12, pages 22 and 23, pages 27 and 28, pages 31 and 32. Tell me what's your answer and how did you get it? Tell me your answer and how did you get it? Karine says the left-hand page is odd and the right hand is even. Okay. I'm looking for some explanations here for persons who do not understand. They can understand from some of our explanations. Akila says left page is an even number. Right page is odd number. And they are consecutive numbers. Even on the left. Next odd on the right. So the pairs look like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so on, so B. All right, that's a very good explanation, Akila. And I will go ahead and I'll start working this out on the screen. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Yes, you can use your book to count, Chanel. You can use your book to do this, actually. You took your message back, but that is also a good idea, at least to start seeing a pattern. If it is that we have the largest number here is what? 32. So if it is that we were to spend a lot of time in our test to figure this out, you know, it will take a lot of time, but we can always start by looking at the pattern. Now we start at page 1, which is on the right side. So here we are on the right side. Then we go to page 2, which ends up on the left side. So here we have left. Let me just, here we have left. This is an L. And we have the right. All right. So after page 1 here, we would have page 2. And across from 2, we would have page 3. We go to the next page, page 4, which is on the left, and page 5 on the right. We're following this pattern because page 1 is on the right, page 3 is on the right, page 2 is on the left. So let's continue. 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. But so far, you can see a pattern. Here on the left, you see 2, 4, 6, 8. And as you pointed out, those are even numbers. And on the right, we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Those are odd numbers. Therefore, if we continue with this pattern, we can figure out which one is the correct combination of left and right. Tariq says, the question says Dennis is numbering the pages of his book. Page 1 is right. All right, so we know the explanation here. Okay, this is a long explanation. All right, but I can see that you have the idea of how it works. So if the even number is on the left and the odd number is on the right, A could not be correct because 11 is not an even number. B has an even number on the left and odd number on the right. C, 27 is not an even number. 31 is not an even number for D. So the correct answer is B. All right. All right. Awesome. All right. Yes, you can work it out on a piece of paper if that one works best for you too. All right. But for questions like these, it's good if you notice a pattern, because what if one of the answers was 100 something, 200 something? then it's good to start by representing what you have and observe a pattern. Okay, let's go to our next question. Kelly wants to find out how many Jamaican $1 coins will cover the surface of her book. What information is necessary for her to make this decision? What information? The number of pages in the book? Will that be necessary for her to decide how many Jamaican $1 coins will cover the surface of the book? The number of coins that fit along the edges of the book, will that information be necessary? The thickness of the book, will that information be necessary? The total number of coins that she has, will that information be necessary? Which one will be necessary? Go ahead in the chat and tell me which one is necessary. So I'll go and I will see, and if you have an explanation, I'd love to hear it as well. Okay. Karine says B because you have to know the perimeter, which is the edge. All right. All right. I'm still looking for some responses here. If I just see a letter for your response, I may not be sure if it's for this question because people who are just joining are also putting answers in. Jillian says B, you can use the process of elimination. Alonzo says, I think B because we need to know if the coins can fit along the edges. All right. Okay. You need the perimeter for the book. That's what Zumbi is saying. All right. Now let's think about it like this. Kelly wants to find out how many Jamaican coins will cover the surface of her book. I'm going to attempt to draw what the book could look like here. Just attempting to draw the book. All right, so let's say that this is a book. The book is like a cuboid. All right, now with this book, we want to know about the surface, which is like this part of the book. Now, what information? The number of pages in the book. The number of pages in the book, will that be important? Because we only see the number of pages by looking at the side. And will that be important to tell us the surface of the book? If it can cover, how many Jamaican $1 coins can cover it? It won't be necessary. That's the pages inside of the book. That won't be important. So A cannot be correct. The number of coins that fit along the edges of the book. So the edges of the book. If we know the number of coins that fit on the length of the book and the width of the book, will we be able to see how many can cover the surface of the book? It's like area. And area is, when you use area like a formula like length times width, we can come up with the surface area of an object. All right, or of an object with a square or rectangular face. So I believe that one is correct. If we know the number of coins that fit at the edges of the book, I think that will help us. Well, let's see C, the thickness of the book, which is still based on the number of pages. That will not be necessary. D says the total number of coins that she has. What if she has 2 coins? How will that information tell us how many Jamaican coins can fit? It will not be enough, maybe, and so that one does not work. However, if she's able to find how many coins goes across with the width and the amount that goes for the length, she can just multiply those and then she can answer the question of finding out how many Jamaican $1 coins will cover the surface of the book. So if this was your explanation and this was your answer, then good job. We're almost at the end. Good job, guys. Let's move on to our next question. The tuck shop sold 3 different types of snacks over a 3-week period. The table shows the quantity that was sold and the amount of money made. Use this information to answer this question. So I'm just going to point out, because some of these numbers are kind of obscure, they're not looking well. So right here at potato chips, we have 8. Down here, this should be 5. This one as well should be 5. This should be 800. So let's go. The question says, in which week did the tuck shop have the highest sales? Go ahead, put your answer. But I also want, thank you, Shanieka, I also want an explanation. Also want an explanation. In which week did the tuck shop have the highest sales? In order to solve this, you have to check how much money was made each week. So let's see. Alicia says week 3 because the quantity is high, but how do we know this? How do we know this? Remember, there is also a unit cost. So how will we know this? So if we look at week 1, in order to see how much money was made for potato chips, what would we do? If there were 8 potato chips sold and each was sold for $320, how will we figure out how much was made for potato chips in week 1? Let's see. So we're going to work from week 1, solve for week 1, for week 2, for week 3. Because if you're seeing a question like this, not this exact one, for the first time, you will have to do all of that to figure it out. Daniel says add up. But you can also do what? If we have 8, we can multiply. Thank you, Vashti. We can also multiply. So we can say 8 times 320. And that would be equal to what in week 1? 8 times 320. Let me just do it here quickly. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 2 16. 8 3 is 24 and 125. So in week 1 for potato chips, they made $2,560. All right. What about go ahead and help me with these calculations, guys. What about the banana chips in week 1? Okay. What about the banana chips in week 1? Okay, Gabrielle has an explanation here. Nice. She added each week, and week 1 is $1,220. Now, before I go any further, let me just point out something, guys. The quantity that was sold is 8. All right. That's for the potato chips. The banana chips is 12. So apparently, for the amount that we have here, this may or may not be the unit cost. This may or may not be the unit cost. All right. So what I did before was I calculated it, assumed it is the unit cost. But I can also see where if it's not the unit cost, we can still come up with our answer. I'll continue to check it as if it were the unit cost. So let's go then. 12 banana chips sold at $240 would be what? Help me out with those in the chat. All right, that would be $2,880. Thank you. Five plantain chips sold at $3,000. Sold at $300 each. Five plantain chips sold at $300 each would give me what? What is 5 times 300? 1,500. Thank you. Here we have in week 2, 20 potato chips were sold for $800. 20 times 800 would give us, what's 20 times 800? $20 times 800 would be $16,000. What is 14 times 280? That would be for the banana chips. That would be $3,920. What is 5 times 300? We already calculated that. The same amount for the plant, same amount they made for plantain chips in week 1 is the same they made in week 2. And if we go to week 3, we'll realize as well it's the same amount that was made. All right. Now, week 3, potato chips, 22 times 880. We're at week 3, guys. 22 times 880. That would be 19,360. 30 times 300 for the banana chips. That would give us 9,000. How much was made in week 1? We can just sum all of these. In week 1, 2,560 plus 2,280 plus 1,500. I'd like someone to just give me that total in the chat. 2,560, 2,560 plus 2,280. Set these out in your book, plus 1,500 would give us a total of 6,340. We know that week 1 cannot even be the answer, because for one item in week 2, that is even more than the total amount made in week 1. One item in week 3 is even more than the total item in week 1. So we basically will be comparing weeks 2 and week 3. So let's go ahead and add 16,000 plus 3,920 plus 1,500. All right. And we have gotten, okay, Ralisha, 21,420. Thank you. Thank you. And what about week 3? Some persons are helping me out in the chat to do this real quick. Thank you. 19,360 plus 9,000 plus 1,500 gives us a total of, Kadri says 29,800. 40. Let's check that one. 29,860. Thank you. Thank you, Victor. 29,860. So which one has the highest sales? Which week? We have 29,860, and that is for week 3. No, I did not work this one out prior to now. So thank you for helping me to work this out together. So our answer is C. Good job for those who selected C. And for some reason, I believe that even if we didn't take these as the unit price and we took it as a total, we would still come up with the same answer. I think that with this question, we took the long way with it and we assumed for this one. All right. Now the next question says the diagram below shows how Paula spends her earnings in 1 month. It shows how Paula spends her earnings in 1 month. Now let's take a look here. If Paula spent $8,000 on bills for the month, how much money did she save? All right, so bills is basically $8,000. That is what the question said. If Paula spent $8,000 on bills, so if she spent $8,000 here on bills, how much did she save? Now, let us take a look at the different portion of this pie chart. If bills is $8,000 and bills is half of her earnings, it means the total of her earnings would have been what? What would be the total of her earnings? If she spent $8,000 on bills and bills represents half, who can tell me how much money did she earn? Thank you, Melissa. $16,000. The whole would represent $16,000. Harriel says Paula has $16,000 in all. She used $8,000 to pay her bills and she used $4,000 to buy food. All right, let's stop there. Very good. Harriel says she used $4,000 to buy food because if half is $8,000, it therefore means a quarter, which represents food, is half of what half is. So that would be $4,000. Ariel continues to say $2,000 for her transportation and $2,000 for her savings. So this other quarter here, which is separated into 2, shows that this part has to be $2,000 and this part has to be $2,000. So based on Ariel's explanation, the correct answer would be she saved $2,000. All right. And it's always important to save. Good job, guys. Now, we have come to the end of our session today. You did a great job explaining and also to solve these problems. My encouragement for you is to keep practicing at home. challenge yourself with new questions and a lot more questions. Your exam is just around the corner. You can also join. Once you subscribe and once you enter this channel, PriMath Zoom, you will see a folder called Ability Test. If you go in there, you'll see many more items that you can practice. Okay, so that folder has a lot. That's a playlist. I have different playlists for grade 6. I have the curriculum based, the ability test, and the performance task. But I don't think you're doing performance task this year. So you can always go on the channel, go to the playlist, and you can watch all the videos in the playlist to be prepared. I will see you again on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week at 6 p.m. when you get home from school. So in order to find the live session that we're on, once you have subscribed, you'll see a notification comes up if you click that notification bell. And if you actually go into the folder, you will see the live session happening that you can join. All right, enjoy your weekend.